welcome to episode 4 of a Disney Life podcast. This podcast is a place to bring together friends, both old and new, to share in our Disney adventures. And we are so glad that you decided to tune in today. My name is Rachel, and this is my co host, Missy.
Hello, everybody.
On today's episode, I'm going to be talking about my most recent experience at Walt Disney World with the Disney dining plan with children under 9. Our top 5 today will be going over some rainy day activities just in time as those summer daily storms start to roll in. And then we're going to move into question and answer time, followed by a tip of the week for all of you travelers that have a stroller with you. Most recent trip to Walt Disney World, I did decide to add the Disney dining plan for my family. Now, there are a lot of things to consider about adding a dining plan to your stay. The biggest question that you're going to end up asking yourself is, will the dining plan be worth it? So the Disney dining plan, what that comes with, each person in your party ages 3 and up will receive 1 table service credit, 1 quick service credit, and 1 snack credit per night of your stay. Each guest will also receive a resort refillable mug that you can use at any resort drink station on property.
And I think it's important for people to realize that it is per night of stay, and those credits can be used at any time during your stay. So, for example, if you're there for 5 nights and have 5 table service credits, but there's one day you really would like to schedule a character breakfast and then a dinner as well, that's okay. Those credits can be used any way you would like them to be during your stay. They'll go active upon your check-in and arrival, and you can use them up until midnight the day you check out. So even if you finished up at your resort and you've checked out, any remaining credits can be used until that day. They're kind of all, I always tell people they're pulled together like in one lump of pile of credits, and then you can pull them from there whenever you need to. So
Yeah, and
go
that's
ahead,
how you
Rachel.
view it on
Sorry to
the app
interrupt there.
too. You can see what credits you have left, and it is just one pool of credits that you'll see everything from. And Disney also does not regulate, like, if I have a snack credit that I already used from my band, and then I use one of my child's snack credits, they don't regulate things like that where you can. But it is true with using table service meals at different times of the day, or even signature dining. Signature dining is going to be 2 table service credits if that restaurant is on the dining plan. So you can double up on those there as well. So it definitely does. There's a little bit of involvement with that. And you mentioned the credits end at midnight. So if you're doing a split stay, it actually is not a bad idea if you want to add the dining plan to your first stay. So that way, even as you're switching to resorts, you still have the credits left until midnight of that night. It doesn't matter if you've checked into the other resort already, those credits are still going to be there. Load up on, or if you're leaving, load up on some snacks before you go. If you have quick service meals left over, get the family behind you, grab their breakfast for them on the way too. So there's all sorts of ways that you can use that and maximize that. But yeah, we did get the Disney dining plan. It made sense financially for us, and I'll tell you why. So I have 3 children, and they are all under the age of 9. My youngest is 2 at the time, so she did not require a dining plan. And there are a lot of tips that we can offer at some point about dining with children under the age of 3, but my 2-year-old was not included in the plan. So it was just my older 2 children who were 8 and 5 at the time of this trip that we went on. And so I had to figure out, how can I maximize this to make it worth the investment of putting a dining plan in there.
So it's probably worth mentioning that for kids who are under age 3, when you're dining at a table service restaurant at Disney, if it's a family style or a buffet, those kids are welcome to share off of your plate with you. If you order something off of the menu, something a la carte, they could also share with you, or you'd have the option to purchase a kid's meal for them if they're a big enough kiddo that they're not old enough to need the dining plan or a park ticket, but they're not still nursing or using a bottle or just eating baby food. So there are a few options with that. And that's a whole conversation we could do another day.
A
But
whole
just
different
wanted to mention
conversation. But
we're not leaving them out of these meals. They just weren't really a factor as far as the cost goes, because they would not have cost really either way here.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. But, once she is 3, that is something to consider. Is it going to be worth the value of that, paying for 3 children as opposed to just 2? But we decided to plan a lot of character meals on this trip. Having 3 young children, I actually prefer character meals as opposed to going and standing in line and waiting for a character meet and greet, because they come to me instead, and I can keep the kids occupied with other things in that time period. Because you never know. You can get a character line, and unless you're at the very front of it, sometimes you don't know how long that character line is going to take to get through. So I do like dining with character dining meals as a great way for the kids to see the characters, get photos, things like that. So that was our plan on that.
That was my first big Disney mistake traveling with children. My oldest was about 18 months old the first time we took her to the parks. And, we spent a lot of time thinking, what was her first ride going to be? What did we want to begin with? Well, we walked into the park and we're heading through Fantasyland, and she spied Winnie the Pooh. And that was it. She wanted to get in line to meet Winnie the Pooh. And at the time, there was no shade. There was a long line, and it took about an hour of our time. And I said, from now on, it's character meals. And we did years of traveling planned around dining just for the purpose of character meals, because it gave us a break to cool down. It guaranteed us food, and we got that character experience as well.
Yeah, and fortunately, a lot of the character meet and greets are moved indoors now, but it's waiting and waiting with small children who can be impatient and those sort of things that can be kind of difficult. So yeah, I definitely we both recommend character dining meals for sure. But I will tell you, so the cost of the Disney dining plan currently it is $97.79 per adult per night. And that includes Disney adults, which I call kids Disney adults once they reach age 10, put adults in quotation marks, but once you are age 10 and up, you are considered a Disney adult. So 10-year-olds, $97 per night on food. And that's a huge factor because I know a lot of 10-year-olds who are not going to eat $97 worth of food per night. But the cost for children ages 3 through 9 for the Disney dining plan is $30.56 per child per night. And you can easily spend that much on meals, especially if you're doing any sort of sit down table service meal on your stay with that. So that's something to consider too. The cost is a large factor in
And
all
this
of
is
this.
being recorded in the summer of 2025. So that is current accurate pricing as of today for the
Yes,
dining
current
plan.
accurate pricing as today. Pricing is always subject to change and everything. So, and usually the dining plan does change with prices when the next packages come out as well. And they have historically in the past too changed them mid-year, gone up in price as well too. But the the kids dining plan cost has been pretty consistent. I mean, obviously it was lower a couple of years ago, but it's a pretty good value. So we decided our first stop was going to be Chef Mickey's for dinner.
Okay.
That is one table service credit, and it is super popular buffet at Disney's Contemporary Resort. You get to meet the Fab Five there, and they're all in their chef coats, and they come around and see you. And there's lots of songs and dancing and all sorts of things to get kids active in that. But we were staying at the Contemporary Resort and flying in that night, so we decided we want to stay somewhere close by, start utilizing the dining plan immediately. And so that was our plan on that. Plus, it was the day after my youngest birthday. She had just turned 2. So we were going to Disney World to celebrate her second birthday. And she shares a birthday with Mickey and Minnie.
Oh, that's so sweet.
Yes. So she
That
wore a
was
little
the
birthday
ideal
shirt that said
restaurant.
"Happy Birthday, Mickey, Minnie, and Meredith." And so it was a perfect place to go to with that. But
So
Chef
I think
Mickey
Chef Mickey's is a great place to start, because even if you're not staying at the Contemporary, when you arrive there, you'll see that castle in the distance, and it kind of just sets the stage for your whole trip. Even if you can't get to a park your first day, if you're arriving later, like Rachel did for this particular stay of hers, it gives you a little bit of a taste of that. You're close to the park, you're not quite in the park, and just the whole entry area for Chef Mickey's, being able to see the monorail from the restaurant itself, and that concourse area there is really a super unique experience that you're not going to have anywhere else. So good job, Rachel. I think that was an
Yeah,
ideal
well, thank
place to
you.
start for many
Trying to
reasons.
make it special. Yeah, so we when we were talking about adding the dining plan, the first thing that I did was I looked up. We already had our reservations made, so those can be made at 60 days out from your check-in day. we already had our reservations made. We decided to add the dining plan later, which you can do. You can add that pretty close to time of arrival. I think there's a couple of days that you need to give for to let them know in order to have it activated. So we decided to add that later once we already had our reservation. So the first thing I did was pulled up the price of Chef Mickey's. That is $69 per adult and $44 per child. That does not include tax. That does not include gratuities. So we were already looking at a pretty decent amount of money being spent there for that.
So so if you're using the dining plan, the tax is included, but the gratuity is not, correct?
Yes,
So
that is
when we're
important to
saying,
know.
so for just for the sake of an easy estimate, if we're looking at almost $100 a person for the dining plan for adults, uh, and your meal is $69 plus tax, you've got a huge chunk just by using one meal that day.
Yes. In fact, I did some math, but I did not do the tax. I didn't I didn't try to do that. Before tax and without gratuity as a family of 4 with 2 adults, 2 children paying. Again, my 2-year-old, she ate off my plate. Buffets are a great option if you have a 2-year-old. Our total meal before tax would have been $226. The dining plan for that day for us 4 was $256.70.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
So, we were
so,
gonna
and
make up
again,
that $30 in food somewhere.
right. And you're paying tax on your dining plan purchase already. You'd be paying tax there. And the gratuity, you're paying either way. Please remember that these cast members work so hard and they're there to make your trip extra magical for you. And just because your bill may be low because you've purchased a dining plan, please don't leave them out. Please tip them well and appreciate them and show them some kindness, whether you're using the dining plan or not.
Yeah, and that's especially true. You hear people talk about that with buffets, about tipping and gratuities with buffets. These servers have large sections that they are dealing with, and they are cleaning your table constantly and refilling drinks constantly. So they are definitely earning their gratuities in that. Now, with the buffets there at Walt Disney World, it does come with a non alcoholic drink and a non specialty non alcoholic drink. A lot of them will have smoothies or different kind of juice concoctions for kids, things like that. But if you want like a soda, it comes your meal comes with that too. But this changed. I don't know what about 2 years ago that with the Disney dining plan and the quick service plans, if you're an adult 21 and up, you can actually add an alcoholic beverage to your meal. The dining
I
plan does
think
not
it's
always
been
include that.
You probably were busy having kids, so you weren't partaking. But if I had to guess off the top of my head, I feel like it was maybe, I think 2018
Wow. Okay.
ish. That's just my guess. I could be wrong. I did not look that up ahead of time, but I have a specific trip in mind that we took. And I feel like it was in the spring of 2018. And we did a lot of research on the best places to use that credit at quick service restaurants because it was relatively new at the time. So I think it's been a while now, but it is not very commonly known. And it's not something that they really advertise around. So if it is something that you would enjoy, depending on where you're dining, if you'd like a glass of wine with your dinner, or maybe a beer with your burger at lunch at your resort, or that type of thing, that could add extra value as well to your dining plan cost.
Yeah, I looked up the current cost of even just cocktails because you can get cocktails too at the table service restaurants and at Chef Mickey's. The cocktails ran from $13 to $17. So just right there, if you're paying $70 already and you add a $17 cocktail, you've got $10 left over and you've reached the cost of the dining plan for the day,
Mhm.
and that's just with one meal. That's a
Okay.
big factor to consider too with that, and even some of the specialty non-alcoholic drinks, those are gonna cost a couple of dollars too, and that's included with the plan. So there's ways to maximize and utilize, but I will say too, not every restaurant, not every cocktail is included.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's also a consideration, but you will know, they will tell you what is and what's not. The menu will be very clear and specific about if it's included in the dining plan or not.
Okay.
So after meal at Chef Mickey's, the next day we went to Disney's Animal Kingdom resort, or sorry, not the resort, the theme park. We went to the Disney's Animal Kingdom theme park and we had dinner at Tusker House. Now, this is one of my absolute favorite buffets. I love the food there. I love the theming, the safari clothes. It's cute. I love it. But
The character attire there is fantastic. Yes.
But I will say, so one of the things that we like to do is since Animal Kingdom closes earlier than all the other parks, I like to make a Tusker House reservation as close to closing time as possible.
That's a sneaky move. So
Yeah.
you're not using up ride time and regular park time during the day, and you're getting that evening experience there. I miss when Animal Kingdom used to be open later into the evening, and that's a good tip for.
Yeah.
I bet it's kind of nice also walking out after the park closes and circling
Yeah.
the Tree of Life.
And you can't go exploring. There's security around that will
Right, but
direct
don't you
you.
have to? So Tusker House is all the way in the back.
It
So
is all the
if
way in the
you're
back, yes, but if
coming
you
from the
wanted to
back, you'll
walk
have to
out
go
and
around.
head towards Asia, like towards Expedition Everest, you're not gonna be able to do that because,
Right,
um and that I mean, that'd be nice to be able to just take photos around the park like that, but they will direct you out towards the Pandora area, but you can't go through Pandora, so they kinda
right.
shuffle you out one way, but, yeah, you can usually find reservations up until about 10 minutes before closing. So,
Good to
yeah,
know.
that's something that I like to do. That's a little tip for you there. And end the day with the meal, we still get back at the resort at a reasonable time, get the kids in bed at a reasonable time. Plus, when you do something like that, the restaurant is going to empty out. So
Mhm.
there's hardly any tables. One thing about Chef Mickey's is it is just about always crowded there. The characters probably come by once. You may see some characters twice. When you do something like this at Tusker House, the characters come by about 3 times. So it's constant and they really take a lot more time. Daisy danced with my kids a lot. They just seem to take a lot more time with the kids because they don't have as many tables that they're going around to at that time. So that is definitely a big tip. Make a reservation at closing time and there's still going to be transportation. They run the buses until the park is empty. So,
Okay,
yeah.
perfect. So you've now mentioned two character meals. Do your kids participate in collecting any autographs? Are they more of just the photograph type, or do we need to figure in extra time for something like that during our meals?
Now the buffets, the character dining, they will bring around like an autograph card that has the
Right.
characters' autographs printed onto the card with the characters. It's an animated one. So we just kind of use that. We've never really gotten into the autograph books. Not something I've necessarily pushed with anything because a lot of times it's something else to carry, but so that's
Keep
just kind of
track of and carry around. Yeah.
yes, yeah. But, Tusker House is a little less expensive than Chef Mickey's. It was $64 per adult and $42 per child, but again, we went to Pizzafari for lunch, used quick service credits there, and got a couple of snacks throughout the day, so we definitely we saved money by having the dining plan again.
And I think snacks is a place with the dining plan that you can kind of make it or break it at times, because when Disney advertises the dining plan on their website, they'll tell you, a novelty ice cream or a popcorn, which are relatively inexpensive snacks as far as snacks go. But there's no differentiation between an adult snack and a child snack. So you're able to get large snacks for anyone in your party of any age, regardless of if they purchase the child's dining plan or the adult dining plan.
All right, so the next day we were at Epcot. Food and Wine Festival was going on. It was actually about to wrap up in a couple of days. So I like to save my snacks for Epcot, and especially during the festival time, because
Perfect
as you
use of
mentioned, that is a
snacks.
good way to utilize your snack credits because the snacks there are more expensive. Not everything is on there, but there is like a little I don't know, like key that tells you if it's on the dining plan or not. So that's what I always do. You know, pull up my snacks and just use that for lunch during the day.
Small, right. So there'll be a little dining plan icon next to the item on the menu to signify if that's a snack or not.
Yes. And
Okay.
most things honestly are at the festivals. You can find a lot of good use for your snack credits on there. But and we had dinner at St. Angel Inn scheduled for that day. Now, this is an a la carte restaurant. So you order from a menu. And when you have the dining plan, I did not mention this earlier, but when you have the Disney dining plan, that includes an entree and a dessert and plus your beverage too. So if we were just ordering without the dining plan, we'd probably just grab an entree and some water, but you can get a beverage that's including an alcoholic beverage again too or non-alcoholic beverage plus your entree and plus dessert. I know in years past, you used to be able to substitute out your dessert for an appetizer. I don't think that you can do that now,
I
but I
don't.
did not
The
try
last
it.
I heard, that was not really a welcome change. I'm sure there could occasionally be guests who have that type of experience, but overall, that is not the normal procedure. No.
Right, and this to show you how much it's changed, where a lot of people say that the dining plan has lost its value. When the dining plan first started, you could get an appetizer, entree, and dessert. Do you remember that?
I do remember that. It was an unbelievable amount of food.
Yes, unbelievable amount of food. I believe gratuities were included too
Yes,
when
they
it first
were
came
back in
out.
the day. Yep.
Yeah, yeah. So you ate a lot. It was definitely a good value, but, so we were at San Angel Inn, and I got the fish tacos. I like fish tacos a lot. That was only, I think about $22, and then for dessert, I don't remember what I got for dessert, but, the desserts are about $10 to $12. So, really, my food alone was about $45 when it was all added up and everything and said and done. So, a la carte, depending on where you are, it might not be the best value. And a lot of people mention that too, that they feel like they have to get the most expensive thing on the menu, that maybe it really wasn't what they wanted to eat for the day in order to get the good value out of it. And I did not get the most expensive thing on the menu, but I already felt like with our character meals, I was getting a good value. So I justified it with that I could get something that I wanted instead.
Plus, you needed to leave room to get value out of your snacks. You can't fill up a table
Absolutely.
service and
Completely.
still fully enjoy food and or flour and where were you? Food and wine. So I do support this.
Well, and so children's the kids menu there too, they have a good menu selection. There were about 6 different entrees that my kids could have chosen from, but even then, those were in the $10 to $15 range. So you've got to look at too that, if your kid orders something in the $10 range, that's still $20 you've got to make up somewhere between a quick service meal and a snack credit with your child
Mhm.
too. So, a la carte definitely depends. San Angel Inn is not the most expensive of table service restaurants to begin with. So that is a factor to consider with that. We just like it. We like the atmosphere. My kids like it too. They think it's really neat. If you've never been in there, it's in the Mexico Pavilion at Epcot. There's a ride inside, and we like to go and see if we can sit by the water. We don't always get to, but it's pretty neat and fun to go in there and have a meal as well. So we had that, but a lot of snack credits were used at the Food and Wine Festival. We left that night, and then the next day went to the Magic Kingdom, and that was our final meal because we did a split stay, as I mentioned before. And so we were moving resorts that day, but we went to Crystal Palace where we got to see Winnie the Pooh and not have to wait.
Perfect. If I
And
had
that was
only
fun.
known way back then what I know now.
Yeah. I was at Crystal Palace. This is Pooh and friends that are characters there. This buffet, I think, has improved significantly over the years in the type of food that it serves. When they were doing the Big 50th celebration, they brought in a lot of, kind of food that was popular at the resorts way back in the day or things that Walt really enjoyed. And they've kept some of those things on the buffet line. And so this is one that we've enjoyed more and more as the years have gone on because I think the food's gotten better, the variety has gotten better there too as well. So we were definitely going to use the last of our table service credits, use them well before we headed over to Art of Animation for the rest of our stay. And
So
I'll
did
tell
you
you this
do
too. So we chose Magic Kingdom on a day that Mickey's Very Merry Christmas Party was going on, but we did not have tickets for Mickey's Very Merry Christmas Party. So, kind of what we did with Tusker House, we made as late of a dinner reservation as we possibly could in
Okay,
order
well,
to
that
stay.
answers my question. I was going to ask if you did breakfast, lunch, or dinner because
But yeah,
Crystal
so yeah,
Palace
it was
is a
definitely dinner.
restaurant that
Um, yeah,
they're open all day long for character meals. So that's that, and you could do the reverse in the morning also if you wanted to do a super early reservation, possibly before even the park opening time. That can give you a little bit of extra time on Main Street before the full crowds are in there for the day.
yeah, that used to be a really popular option for a lot of people. We typically don't do a lot of breakfast dining. My kids and myself are not huge breakfast eaters, so that doesn't make sense for us. But we wanted to stay as late as possible on the party night without having party tickets. And I had heard that we would be escorted out after our meal, like completely escorted out of the park. That did not
Mhm.
happen. I was, kind of hoping like that we
A
have to be
special
escorted.
escort to lead you out to follow
They
you
they
home.
took us they took us to Main Street, and that was it. Then we were let loose.
Although
And this
sometimes
meal
on
is also
party
another
nights,
$62 per adult, $42 per child, and again, serves alcoholic cocktails or beer or wine for adults 21 and up too. So, I felt like we got our value out of this.
using the Disney dining plan is truly dependent on your specific party and that party's eating habits. It could go either way. I know many people who say they just aren't ever going to get the value out of it. And the older the kids get, the less value there is until suddenly they're old enough that they're adults themselves and they're definitely eating their money's worth out of it. So it really depends on what type of trip you want to have, how much time you want to spend dining. If enjoying all of the restaurants that Disney has to offer is an important part of your Disney experience, then by all means check out options with the dining plan. It's definitely worth mentioning specifically concerning kids that for coming up in 2026, if you book a Disney World vacation package and you purchase the dining plan for the adults traveling, the children ages 3 to 9 in that same package will get the dining plan for free. So anywhere in this scenario that Rachel was mentioning, the approximate $30 per person night for the kids, that is not a factor coming up in 2026. So I think the value is going to increase greatly for families with younger kids in 2026.
Yeah, I would completely agree. Trust me, it's something that we're considering getting in one more trip before my oldest turns 10, so we can take advantage of that for 3 children because, my 2-year-old will be turning 3 this November, so, but that would be a huge savings for us, just to have their meals covered, whether we do quick service plan or, the Disney dining plan.
Okay. Well, there's just so much involved with the dining plan, and I know that it can be a little overwhelming to guests using it the first time, but it really does make sense once you arrive, once you're able to track your remaining credits right through the app, just like you do everything else. Whether we like it or not, that app is full of information and it could really help guide you. I feel for a lot of guests, purchasing the dining plan is really more of a way to just make it a more all-inclusive type vacation, so they know already what money they have coming out of pocket and they don't have to worry about if they have any credit card issues while they're traveling or carrying cash along with them to make payments. So it really is for many people an option of convenience rather than just a savings value.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think a lot of people too think, "Am I really gonna use all my credits? Is it too little?" Because with the Disney dining plan, you really it factors in 2 meals per day. Same thing if you get the quick service plan, it's 2 quick service meals per night per person plus the snack credit. But, you really do it's easy to go through them and utilize them as you would want to. I would say probably snack credits are one of the more difficult things for us to make sure that we use all of on our trip because we don't, we'll get snacks for the kids, but if we're eating a big meal like that, we're not necessarily snacking like we would at home or any other place.
There have definitely been times that we've gone in somewhere like the Big Top Souvenirs or something like that on the last night of our trip to see what can we get, what snacks can we get from the counter and take home with us, because
Yes, yeah.
you go in there with anticipation of eating all of these things, and then in reality a lot of times you just can't keep up with it. But I still think that it can give an excellent value to people. I know that we always appreciated having it planned ahead of time for budget purposes, and I think it's going to be a great value coming up in 2026 for families.
I completely agree, and we also know too that if and when discounts are released for 2026, that even if you have this added on to your package, you can still be eligible for discounts. So, there's even more value for families in doing that too.
Right. So this is not a replacement for the free dining offer that has been so incredibly popular in the past. This is a pretty standard thing that will be available all year. So if by chance a room discount comes out for your resort, you could still, from what they've told us so far, you will still be able to have that dining plan at no cost for the kids along with the adult purchase. Okay, coming up next are top 5 rainy day activities. So, if you are at Disney World enjoying your vacation, but the weather has other plans for you, what exactly can you do with your family for the day to keep everybody happy? So, Rachel, do you want to start us off there with your first on your top 5 for rainy day activities?
Yeah, so I would say, my number 5, if we're counting down number 1, I would say go shop. If you're in the parks, go. There's always going to be, each park has like a big main kind of store, plus several other stores throughout. Hop into a shop. It's a good time to pick up some souvenirs. If the weather is calling for rain all day and you can rearrange your schedule, then get plan a Disney Springs day. Go to World of Disney. You can spend a lot of time in World of Disney as well. But yeah, I would say it's a good time to go and get some purchases out of the way and have them shipped to your home too, which is another story for another day. But go ahead and get some of those out of the way.
Okay, so my number five is to take a look online to see in the app what last minute dining experiences you may be able to book. So, of course, as we just discussed through our thorough discussion of the dining plan with kids, this may be an expensive option for something to do that day. But if you do have the dining plan and you had made reservations for somewhere in the park, you may be able to find somewhere not in the park if you decide not to go, or you may be able to switch your time. It used to be that you had to cancel your dining reservation by the day ahead of time in order to not have a penalty. But with the recent changes to that in the last couple years, you now have until 2 hours ahead of your dining reservation to change that. So this can work both ways. If it's morning and there's rain coming in the afternoon and you have a breakfast reservation in the park, you may be able to change that reservation to later in the day so that you're dining during the rainy times and you have free time when it's not. And the same works vice versa. So I think that particularly character meals or other interactive experiences, I immediately think of Wilderness Lodge and Whispering Canyon Cafe. I feel like Wilderness Lodge, whether we're staying there or not, is a place we flee to when it rains because it has a huge lobby. There's lots of space. There's many little nooks and crannies where you can sit and stay out of the rain and enjoy yourselves. And you can very often get reservations at their Whispering Canyon Cafe restaurant there. It is table service and they do have an all you can eat skillet option, but that's not the only option. There's a la carte as well. So I think that would be my top choice of a place to make a dining reservation on a rainy day, but the possibilities really are endless there.
Yeah, and you would really be surprised at how many restaurants have last minute availability or day of availability. That's always something. If there's a certain restaurant that you were looking for, check the app on the day of. It might come open. And a lot of times, like as you said, to change your reservation up to 2 hours before, if there was a different dining time that you wanted instead, check the day of to see. So there's a lot of options. And I really thought when they changed the cancellation policy that a lot of the day of reservations were going to go away because of people having such a longer time, but they really haven't. It's a
It's
good
been
way
the
to.
opposite. In my experience, there have been so many times I've been able to get last minute reservations now that this new policy is in place. So I love it. I think it's
Yeah,
fantastic.
I do too because I change my mind a lot too when I'm at the bar.
It's true. Need to be flexible, right?
Yeah. All right. So my number 4 kind of goes along with what you were saying, but I said take a snack break. There's a lot of places that kind of have covered seating or indoor seating where you can just grab a snack or a drink and go sit. One of our favorite places to hang out when if it's raining a lot is over at the Land Pavilion and go to Sunshine Seasons and grab a snack and you can grab a drink there and spend quite a bit of time in that. So I say take a snack break.
Okay, it seems we're on a food trend today, just overall. I'm almost out of the food trend, but my number four was to visit another resort that you don't normally visit and try out their quick service because it gives you the opportunity to see somewhere different and you don't have to have a dining reservation. Again, Wilderness Lodge is the option that pops to mind. Roaring Fork is a great quick service with different options than you'll see at a lot of quick service locations. But it really could go for any resort that you haven't really experienced often. If you don't want to be in the park and it's raining, go ahead and check out some other resorts. You'll be able to catch bus transportation to them from the entrance of a park, or you can Uber or Lyft to many of them as well. I know there's an added cost with that, but I guess maybe a rainy day budget is something that many people should factor into their trip
Yeah.
plans, but they may not.
Yeah, and you can order from the app too. You can do mobile order from at for any of the resorts from the app. So that's a good thing to do as well. Or, check out some of the menus on the app. to see where you wanna go. So, yeah, that's a great idea to go try out another resort's quick service dining. Okay, so my next one, would be see a show. We kinda, mentioned that in the beat the heat activities, but beats the rain too, where the shows are covered. So, I will even go to Indiana Jones. It's not spectacular in the rain because it's not sweltering. So, showers can be short in the summertime in Florida. They're going to happen in the afternoon. They usually last 30 to 45 minutes. Perfect time to go and see a show and get out.
I don't understand the hate for Indiana Jones.
There's no hate. It's
You
just
don't let you
I don't
always go
consider
see that? I always want to see that. Maybe
I
it's
don't consider it a
because
way to beat the heat because it's
no,
still outside.
it is pretty warm in there, but I mean, ever since, way back on Full House for The House Meets the Mouse, when DJ was there seeing Steve being pulled over by the boulder, I can't go there without thinking that. Like all these years later, it's just a must do, but okay.
Yes, absolutely.
So I also had seeing a show, but I guess I was thinking with these a little bit more of like a total washout kind of day. So what I was thinking was it might be an opportunity to head to Disney Springs and go to see a movie or go bowling. So we've got the AMC Theater and we have Splitsville luxury lanes at Disney Springs. And these are places that my family doesn't normally spend time at Disney World. I mean, we've never gone to see a movie when at Disney. Like that seems a little crazy to me. Even on Disney Cruise Line, when the movies are free, there are still other things we want to spend our time doing. But the AMC Theater has the dine and delivery at your seat. You can even have your meal right there in one of their recliners. I know they advertise them as heated recliners, but that seems a little strange to me being it's summertime, but we know how cold
Maybe
that
it's
air
so cold
conditioning
in there you
gets.
need it.
I'm like, maybe when my back is bad, I just need to go sit at the movie for a couple hours. Like, do they massage too? I don't know. Like that could be a thing.
Yeah,
but
yeah, that'd be
but
nice. Yeah, I'll
anyway,
take that one.
but there's a lot of stores, like you said, shopping. There's a lot of stores at Disney Springs to take cover under. So might not be a bad idea to head there if you're gonna have a rainy day.
Yeah, when they did the redo, several years ago, they built that big kind of central shopping area, and that's all undercover too.
Covered, yes.
Yeah, there's a lot of shops that are not, I tend to go to the shops that are not undercover, because the ones that are undercover are more, I guess, kind of well, I mean, they're kind of commercial. They're ones that you can find at a lot of different places, although they do
They're not the Disney focused
well.
ones.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so
They're not World of Disney or the Co-op.
yeah, yes, I do love the Co-op and
Those
World
are
of
my places.
but those are not undercover. You will get wet going between those. All right, so my next one, so this is a washout day one. If it was, I said check out your resort activities board. Your resort is going to have an activities board of things that they offer during the day. Now, a lot of those are by the pool. If it's raining, they will move them indoors. I think on our last trip that we were together, we were meeting at the lobby at the beach club, and there were lifeguards because the pool is under construction at the moment. There were lifeguards in the lobby reading stories. Did you remember seeing that? Did you see that?
I did not. No, but
Yeah.
that's fantastic. I love that.
Yeah.
They
But you
really
can
seem
find
to
typically
pull
your resort
out.
activities board. They'll be set up, like I know at the value resorts, they're usually set up. A lot of them are outside along the walkways. At the contemporary, they're set up close to the elevators. And so you can see there's usually a lot of stuff going on. And some of the resorts have a lot of really interesting things. I believe that you can paint tiles at Coronado Springs Resort in the tower.
I think you might be thinking of the mosaics. They have like a
Yes, I'm sorry. Yeah,
mosaic
the
building thing.
mosaics. Yeah.
And I've seen that at several. I think it was either pop or all-star music I saw that at within the last year or so. I think it's becoming more common, kind of like the tie-dye t-shirts.
Yeah.
I was about to say earlier, they really pull out a lot more options for entertainment when it is going to be rainy to be able to entertain you. So that number two on my list was the same, enjoying the resort activities, but I have a little asterisk there for one more bonus thing, and that's take a nap because we all know how exhausting these vacations can be. So if the weather is prohibiting you from doing what you had planned, it might not be the worst thing to give yourself a little nap in the afternoon and then hopefully sleep through the rain and get back out there for the evening.
Yeah. Absolutely. That's a great idea because even if it's just your first full day there, you're already tired.
Right. Even just traveling there can wear you out. So yeah. All right. I think we're at number one.
Yeah, we are. Okay, so my number one is proceed as normal.
Oh my gosh, that's mine.
There you go.
That's mine. I mean, I specifically had keep yourself in the park and get your ponchos and umbrella out because I mean, you're at Disney, right? Like just enjoy it and power through and you'll have the slowest crowds of all and power through it and enjoy
Yeah.
it.
Completely, and look, rain happens in Florida all the time. It is not catching the cast members off guard. They are used to it. They have really thick ponchos that they pull out for themselves. Most of the lines and rides are indoors, so very rarely will an entire park shut down for anything. So you will have some rides that will shut down, like Seven Dwarfs Mine Train will shut down if there's lightning in the area. So if the ride does go outside, there it will shut down because of that. But for just rain, just go.
And
Take your little
you
cheap
know,
poncho and go.
everybody should really see the rainy day. Is it the rainy day parade or rainy day cavalcade? What do they call it at the Magic Kingdom when they
I've
have
seen
the
the rainy day parade, and then they had the rainy day cavalcade when everything was going on with COVID, so I'm not sure if it's back
I
to
don't know what they
parade or
call it now,
cavalcade
but
yet.
whatever it is when they run the abbreviated version of the parade in the afternoon at the Magic Kingdom, that's just really something to see. It's a lot of fun to see the characters there powering through, even though it's raining. So, all right. Well, I think we've determined there's plenty to do at Disney World, even if it's raining.
Absolutely. For this week's listener question, we were asked what our favorite Disney resort is. So, Missy, I'm gonna let you start out and tell us what is your favorite Disney resort?
You know, I do consider myself to be a Disney professional, but this is where I am most lacking because I am the most indecisive resort chooser ever. I'm currently trying to choose a resort for a stay this coming February. I cannot decide where to stay because I do not have an absolute favorite resort. If I had to choose, I would say Disney's Polynesian Village because it is where my husband and I honeymooned and it was completely magical to be there. And I do still love the location, but Disney has done such an incredible job with some other resorts that it's hard to say that overall the Polynesian beats them out. Even with the new tower there, which we did stay in one of the two-bedroom penthouse villas at the new tower, Island Tower. I did absolutely love it. But so if I had to say one, it would be that. But man, I have the hardest time when I have my choice of any resort and can choose what I want because they all have so many great amenities and options.
Yeah, I completely agree. I would, if you're talking, and plus a bunch of other factors, like for nostalgia's sake, I would say the Contemporary Resort. That's where I stayed at always growing up. But as far as a resort that I feel like when I walk in, I feel like, oh man, I'm home, I'm relaxed, like this is where I want to be. For me, it's Disney's Wilderness Lodge.
Okay, yep.
Hands down. So I love the lobby. It's gorgeous. I like the rooms. I like the views, all the things that you can see there. So I really do love it. Roaring Fork is a great option and they have a nice store there too. So it's just
They do have that.
a
Mercantile
nice
is
resort.
great. Yes. We actually stayed at Wilderness Lodge for the first time when my 18-year-old was 2. And I kid you not, for the entire second year of her life, she would ask every day, when are we going to my other home? When are we going to Wilderness Lodge? Like she was so little, tiny little voice, she couldn't even get all the syllables in there. So again, and that's why I can't choose a favorite place because there's something sentimental with all of them and something special with each of them. I think it also depends on the time of year I'm traveling. For this upcoming big extended family trip with our high school band that we're planning on taking this coming February, Wilderness Lodge is definitely in the running because in the winter months, it's one of my favorite places to be. So I'm currently booked at the Contemporary. So we could all stay tuned,
Yeah,
see
yeah.
how that goes and where I end up. Your guess is as good as mine right now. Maybe we need to take bets. All right, rolling right into this week's tip of the week. Rachel has a stroller tip for us.
Yeah, so I've been traveling to Walt Disney World with a stroller for the last 8 years and a double stroller for the last 6 years. So I feel like I could do an entire episode on going with a stroller, going with children. But my biggest tip is if you are traveling with a stroller, take a reusable shopping bag and a stroller hook. In the mornings, I know as you're leaving your room, a lot of people like to have everything in their stroller as is. I put all my stuff for the stroller in that reusable shopping bag and I attach it to the stroller hook because at any resort you stay at, there's going to be a transportation option where you have to fold up the stroller, and it's really hard to fold in when all your stuff is in there. So grab the shopping bag and somebody carries that on while another person carries on the stroller. Same thing when you're going through security. I can't tell you it how much it holds up the line because security is going to check every nook and cranny of that stroller. And if you have stuff under it, you have to grab all of the stuff and carry it with you through the scanners there at the security checkpoint. So what I do is we have all the stuff in the bag. I hand it off to my husband. He goes through while I take the stroller to be inspected. We get through so much faster that way. And then when we're at our first stop inside the park or anything, then we kind of can unpack our stroller bag as needed. But it's really convenient just to have one thing to throw everything into to get onto a bus to get through security. And it saves us a lot of time and a lot of just hands being full of stuff. So I would say that is my best tip for if you're traveling with a stroller. Just grab a reusable shopping bag, grab a stroller hook. You will not regret it.
I think that is a fantastic tip. And I think we've probably all been there, whether it was personally or whether you were somebody waiting in a line for some poor dad to decide he's going to fold up the stroller and not realize his spouse put all of the other stuff underneath it. And now he's got it all spilling out on the bus platform.
Yes, and with a lot of the strollers too, they just won't fold up flat. If you have a lot of stuff under there, they're not gonna fold up, and so it's a mess. So grab that bag, and just toss it all in there. Kids can carry their cups on, and everybody else, gets on quickly and efficiently, and you're not holding up the line, so
Okay, thank you so much for that, Rachel. And thank you all for listening today to this episode of A Disney Life. If you have a question that you would like to submit to us for our Q&A time, you can send those questions to a Disney Life at storybookdestinations.com or podcast at storybookdestinations.com. We also have a brand new Facebook group that's just starting called A Disney Life that we'd love your participation in as well. We would love to be able to take a little bit of time to get to know each and every one of you a little bit better and share our Disney experiences. So thank you for being here, and we hope to chat with you all soon.